Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 23 My Team Career Mode. This is episode number 90 today for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix in Season 6. If you guys did miss the previous one in Las Vegas, then be sure to go check the one out before you see this one, because what a thriller we had in Nevada. Insane racing, Leclerc and myself going toe-to-toe, making moves left, right and centre. Leclerc with this double overtake, and then it ended up being a double overtake for ourselves on Verstappen and Carlos Sainz, and that was a common theme of the entire race. BMW versus Audi, and in the case of Leclerc and Jenson Button, it went all the way down to a photo finish at the end. But it was an amazing day for us as we made this crucial overtake quite early in the race, and then went on to control everything to an absolute T to finally break our duck and win in Las Vegas, because we've come so close before, but we finally did it last time out, and we took the lead of the Drivers' Championship ahead of Yuki Tsunoda, shock horror, and quite nicely, the top three in the championship is the same top three as we ended last season, so already maybe a similar sort of pattern forming. But Théo Pourchaire couldn't emulate what he did in Season 5. He didn't take back-to-back victories, as it was a lowly P19, as Lamborghini did struggle a little bit around Las Vegas, just with a bit of poor luck really. But for our team, it was a great day in the office with a double podium, Button getting the third place just ahead of Leclerc, and hopefully we're going to be building on this and getting that momentum going into the Yas Marina, which hopefully you guys agree has become a fan favorite here on the channel for an early round 3 race. Abu Dhabi, usually obviously a season finale in real life, but here in the series has been round 3 or round 4 for the last 3 seasons now, including this one, and it's really delivered as an early round in the championship. As we get straight into the action for qualifying on Saturday, but just something to point out, we've got a lovely new little mod, an addition to the series. We've got this awesome UI mod. So now the logos on the ladder actually correspond to the teams that we've got in this series. So Andretti's actually got a logo now. Lamborghini has a logo. I mean, all the logos have been refreshed. So a really awesome UI mod made by Mark Felix. So shout out to him. Thank you so much for making that for the series. And we've even got a nice little My Team logo with my branding, obviously, on the top left as well. So nice little new visual change, which will hopefully also just help any confusion if you're watching along in the race with the replay cameras, etc., and just adds to that level of immersion as we go top ahead of the 2 Audis. But by the end of Q1, Verstappen has come through for the top time in the Ferrari. Obviously, Ferrari, they actually started off looking pretty decent in Las Vegas, but again, just tripped over themselves. So, third time lucky. Will Ferrari be able to finally actually get off the mark properly in this season? We shall see, but it was pretty unlucky for some in Q1, including Lando Norris getting knocked out in the Red Bull Ford as we get through into the second part of qualifying. Obviously, our aim, though, is the third part of qualifying. In Q1, JB was a little bit down the order, so I'm hoping that he can find some speed around this circuit and try and get a bit closer, and so we can both get into the top 10. Obviously, he started off with a poorer qualifying Las Vegas and had to really work his socks off to get up to that third place. But we go quickest of all at the moment with that first flying lap here in Q2. Once again, Audi looking strong, but again, eventually a Ferrari goes top. This time it's George Russell going quickest of all. We're in second place. Tsunoda up there in third, and both McLarens right now in the top 10, and Mercedes, in fact. Ocon and Bottas, a bit of a surprise there, and Verstappen at the moment under pressure outside the top 10. Jensen in P7. So at this stage, I thought, okay, this is looking pretty good. Russell seems to have a decent amount of pace there. That was a good lap from him to be 0.286 ahead of us, but we're about, 2/10 nearly ahead of Tsunoda. So I was feeling pretty relaxed, and as usual, in those moments, that's my biggest mistake, feeling way too comfortable and relaxed, because lo and behold, I did not go out. I was overconfident, clearly, because by the end of the session, there we are, P11, and we're out. I mean, it's partly my fault for being a bit too comfortable, but also at the same time, the AI simulation times in qualifying never cease to amaze me at the end of the session. They just happen to always find a couple of tens. So, yeah, we're out, only by a small margin, literally, like 0.566 to 0.576. And who's the one right next to me in P10? Of course, it's Teo Porcher, our former teammate. Of course it is. So Jensen's the only driver flying the flag then for our team in Q3. We are going to have to recover and try and hopefully emulate what Jensen did in Las Vegas from going from P10 to the podium. Can we go from P11 to the podium? We're going to have to find out. But let's go to the race then and also see how that top 10 shaked out. Let's go to the grid.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole. And the smooth operator Carlos Sainz completes the front row. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Russell, Verstappen, Teo Porcher, Ocon, Button, Gasly, Joe, Oscar Piastri, the owner driver, Albon, Tsunoda, Bottas, Liam Lawson, Drugovich, Mick Schumacher, Norris, Fittipaldi, Perez, Sargent, and Kevin Magnussen fills the last spot on the grid. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
So it was Audi's day on Saturday as Leclerc and Carlos Sainz have locked out the front row and they're looking pretty damn strong. Button only managing P7, so maybe our car is lacking just a little bit of pace potentially compared to Las Vegas. I didn't notice it actually in qualifying, but I wasn't alone in being knocked out in Q2, surprisingly. Tsunoda, the second place man in the championship, also knocked out, so the top two of us out. Outside the top 10, so both of us will have to recover. And with that in mind, I've, like in Vegas, decided to go aggressive here at the start. I think I'm the only person on this entire grid who's starting this race on the soft compounded tyre. Most people opting for the medium, suspecting they're going to go for a one-stop. I think we are looking, like we were going to plan to do in Vegas, go for a two-stop. We've seen in previous seasons that worked really well at this circuit if you've got that pace in the tank, so I'm hoping there's a bit more race pace in this car than was shown over one lap for myself and Jensen Button. But all eyes on that front row. Is it going to be Audi's day today as we go to 5 red lights? Round number 3 at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Lights out, and we're underway from P11, looking to break into the top 10 hopefully immediately. It's a decent getaway, but just nowhere to really go, and instead crowded out. Tsunoda on the outside, boxed in a bit by his teammate and Piastri, as it's nearly 3 abreast up ahead of us. Gasly having to duck out of that, as Tsunoda has actually got ahead of us, as he's already being super aggressive with his overtakes, as he has been for the last season and a bit, as we charge down the inside, narrowly make contact with Zhou Guanyu. We do make one overtake at least on Oscar Piastri, but that was a very difficult first few corners there, as we see Leclerc out in the lead by a massive margin. Hang on a minute, what an incredible start for Leclerc there, nearly 2 seconds ahead. It's only been one sector as we overtake Zhou Guanyu on the outside, catch him over the curbs, and we're up into P9 then. But yeah, fabulous start from Leclerc. Sainz, his teammate, looking to try and recover clearly from a bad start, because it's a Ferrari 2-3. Sainz from the front row down to P4. Jensen has all equally had a bit of a slow start. He's down to P8. Both Lamborghinis ahead of him in P6 and 7. And Ocon having a real good weekend so far, up in P5 for this Silver Arrows. Meanwhile, right now, Yuki Tsunoda tucked up behind Oscar Piastri, trying to make that move, and then he could get into some clean air and try and catch back up with us, as we're now lining up behind Button, looking to move up the order. But yeah, a strong start from Ferrari, second and third, but Leclerc already in prime position to have broken DRS. So let's see what the race pace is like on these mediums. But for us, as we watch Jensen pull out to maybe make a move on the outside, we really need to make the most of this tyre, because although it's a new tyre, because of course we didn't use this set in Q3, we weren't involved, this is going to wear out pretty quickly. So we have to make the most of it in these early stages, as we see a side-by-side moment between the Audi and the Ferrari. Sainz trying to get up the order. Jensen pushing his way past Pierre Gasly potentially on the exit. A drag race. Can we get involved? We are getting in the toe of Button. It's going to be 3 wide just about. We're in the middle. We're going to defend and block off Gasly and allow Button some breathing room ahead of us to get up into P7 there. That was a good bit of teamwork there to get past one of the Lamborghinis, and thankfully no funny business with Pierre Gasly this time, and getting the sense already that there is a bit more race pace in this BMW car as we now focus back on this frantic fight between the two former Toro Rosso teammates, Verstappen v Sainz. I mean, we already had a great show of it in Las Vegas, remember. Those two were fighting so much that we got the double overtake on them, and so they continue their squabbles here in Yas Marina as we make quick work of Button with DRS, and it's an easy move. It doesn't put up too much of a fight, and the hope is that both of us can continue on like this, but obviously I'm on the soft, so really we should be the one leading the charge, because we are going to pit earlier than Jensen will, as he'll continue on as much as I'm sure most of the grid will, as we see Gasly. This is Gasly falling back and back as he's now maybe down and out the points. Gasly is. What is going on for Pierre Gasly? Poor chair up there in P6, so maybe he's got some sort of car issue or a little bit of damage. I'm not too sure, but Gasly having to fight off Piastri just to keep P10. Zhou Guan Yu up to P9 in the Aston Martin. Tsunoda, he's actually gone backwards. He's down in 13th place. So what's going on with Yuki? Usually we're so used to him just shooting up the orders so quickly, but he's finding a tough time. It's his teammate who's in a much better position there. Oh god, I jinxed it. It's the commentator's curse. Zhou Guan Yu, I just paid him a compliment and he spun it at the hairpin. That's fantastic. That was... wow, unbelievable. That's probably the best commentator's curse you've ever seen. So it's a red flag. Because of that, to be fair, looking at the replay, obviously, yeah, quite dangerous. You know, could have been a pile-up. Thankfully, I don't think anyone's actually got some damage from this, but the red flag is out. So that is a moment to pause and reflect on the strategy. And it's potentially going to be a bit of major deja vu here as we're looking to go onto the hard tyres. And there's a possibility of a soft tyre stint to end off. And we've actually got a second fresh set of softs to use, so that could be quite good. But now, in this situation, I imagine most people will go to hard tyres. So it could very much be like Las Vegas, where I'm looking to go to the end now on hards. But unlike in Las Vegas, everyone else might be on that same strategy. So this might have just nullified any sort of strategy in this race now, as I think most will be on the hard compound as we restart this race on lap 6. Yep, everyone is on hards as we go to 5 red lights for the second time here today in Abu Dhabi, and this is a chance to maybe gain some crucial positions on this race start. We're going to be round the outside of our old teammate Porsche, but we give him the room. Don't want to do anything too rash because we've got a long way to go now in this stint, so we have to play the long game here. Can we make a move at the hairpin potentially? We go to the inside, go back to the outside instead, dancing the car from left to right to try and get this move done on the Frenchman. We get him on the exit, bit of ERS usage up into P6, and Button may just follow us through. He's in the slipstream, he's got past Porsche, and he's actually on our outside, and so we're going to play the team game again and just be nice and easy because he had a lot of overspeed there. That could have got a little bit nasty if we were too close together in the chicane, so rather just give him the room. But I'll tell you what, there's probably going to be no room given here in the battle for P1. Russell trying to overtake Leclerc for the lead of this race, and now the two Ferraris are maybe squabbling. No, it's once again Russell v Leclerc, and Leclerc is going to defend successfully and maintain this P1, and it's still the 2-3 for Ferrari, and Sainz just couldn't again get past Verstappen there, as we see Gasly has benefited from the restart up to P10 and not troubled as much, and Tsunoda, P9 there, has really benefited. He was down in P13, so Tsunoda has actually massively benefited from his own teammate spinning with the red flag, because he's now now also overtaken Porsche. So he's up to P8 as we watch the battle for P1, and Russell has got past there with DRS. It was a pretty easy move, to be honest, but Leclerc now coming back at him, and I imagine we'll get back into first place as these two are maybe set to yo-yo every single lap for this P1, although Russell is doing very well to keep his foot in. Unbelievable stuff. Ferrari and Audi side by side for the entirety of this section as they continue to squabble under the hotel section. They're still neck and neck. Russell back into the lead of the race just before the final corner. Unbelievable fighting between those two, and they fought each other so hard that now the entire top 7 separated by a couple of seconds, and we're going to make a crucial little dive on the inside of Jensen to get up into P6, because I can sense there is a fight that could take us all the way up to P1, because if these guys keep on fighting like this, we could definitely come through and catch a few people unawares with a good use of DRS and ERS as Leclerc lines up a repass on Russell down the main straight with DRS, and meanwhile Verstappen and Sainz, surprise, surprise, fighting as well. But before we get stuck into any of those fights, we need to get past the silver arrow of Ocon. Good move on the outside. Ocon's going to hit the curb, and oh, bit of carbon fiber flying. Has someone lost a bit of their front wing ahead of us? Carlos Sainz, maybe. I think that was an Audi front wing end fence. I'm not too sure, but we're up to P5. Verstappen just been overtaken, so if Sainz has got damage, there's no signs of slowing him down because he's just re-overtaken the Ferrari he was battling. Verstappen pulling out for the inside pass. Oh my god. What was that? Verstappen just brake checked us. What was that? We've got red damage on the front wing. Oh, our race is in the bin. Our race is in the bin because everyone's going to, apart from Tsunoda. Tsunoda's on softs. Sorry. What? Okay, pause for a second. Tsunoda on softs. What are Aston Martin smoking there? Anyway, back to us. Disaster. That's a calamity. Sainz is in as well, so clearly his damage was enough to warrant a pit stop for a front wing change. And now we need, ironically, a front wing change because it was broken off on the back of the Ferrari. I don't know what went on there in terms of through that corner. I think it was Sainz slowing Verstappen down. And I just wasn't ready for it because I just seen Sainz re-overtake Verstappen with a decent amount of overspeed, you know, in a straight line. So I just wasn't prepared for anyone ahead of me to slow down that much. It was dramatic. It was like Sainz slammed on the brakes. And obviously that's a domino effect with Verstappen and then myself. So even though at the time obviously annoyed with Verstappen, it's not actually Verstappen's fault. It's actually more Sainz slowing down so dramatically as it's nearly 3 abreast. Meanwhile for our teammate who's still out there, no damage for him. And he's up to P4 now. He just made an overtake on Ocon. Tsunoda's followed him through. Shock horror. Again, Tsunoda just finds himself in a good position. But like I alluded to, for some reason, Aston Martin have put him on the soft tyre following that red flag. So he's definitely going to make another pit stop. So Tsunoda, even though he's looking pretty good again, he's going to be way down the order once he makes that second stop. Whereas everyone else, Leclerc, Russell, Verstappen, Button, all of these guys on the hard tyres, they're going to the end. Or actually, to be fair, I think I just saw... was that one of the Ferraris on mediums? So maybe a Ferrari might be pitting again as well. As we watch a replay now, and it all began with this fight between Sainz and Verstappen, and Verstappen's the one on mediums. And that's the bit of contact there. And there's the lack of an end plate for Carlos Sainz. So it was Sainz who had the damage. Verstappen is on mediums though, so he will actually be pitting again probably, unless he's going for a really audacious long stint on the medium tyres, which to be fair, I might be trying now, having made a pit stop onto the mediums. But this is what happened then through the next corner. It is Sainz. Sainz slowed up Verstappen, so I can't blame Verstappen. Verstappen just was reacting to Sainz, but I had no inkling they were going to slow down that quickly through that section, because usually you're nearly flat out through that right-hander, but obviously Sainz lost so much downforce, but it was kind of low-key dangerous for him to be doing that on the racing line. So Yeah, I mean, I'm sure the FIA won't be looking into that, but they probably should, as we now watch Tsunoda versus Button. And although Tsunoda gets the jump for P4, it won't matter because Tsunoda has to pit again off the softs, but Button, no qualm to him, he climbs back up the order to P4 with DRS as we now focus back on the fight for the race lead, and it's Leclerc with an easy DRS pass on lap 11 to get the Audi back into P1. It's still a 2-3 for Ferrari, Button holding off Tsunoda well, and speaking of Audi, we catch up to Carlos Sainz, the culprit causing the incident really, originally. We've got good pace on this medium tyre so far, as you can see on the top left. We've set the fast lap of the Grand Prix, and we're going to make quick work of Sainz, who's on the soft. So having to make an extra pit stop, Audi thought it best to put Sainz on a soft tyre. He's going to have to come off on again because he can't go to the end. So very peculiar. But for me, on mediums, I mentioned Verstappen. Is he going to the end on those mediums? Otherwise, he's going to definitely fall down the order. But I am planning to go to the end on mediums because I had no other hard tyre left. You only get one for this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, and I couldn't go on to softs because that was just suicide. So I have to go to the end on my mediums. The tyre I hate the most on this game. We're going to have to make the most of it. As speaking of Verstappen, he just passed his teammate for P2, but I really think he'll be pitting again. So, ironically, we actually might be meeting Verstappen back on circuit once again by the end of this race, potentially, depending on how our pace is and, when he pits or if he pits off those mediums. But right now, in our world, the only cars we're concerned about are actually these two, the Andretti Cadillacs of Sergio Perez and Logan Sargent. We haven't seen too much of this team since they entered Formula 1 in the series. Obviously, they've been, serial backmarkers for most of it, but they're having a good old squabble amongst each other, and they're going to slow each other up here because they're going to go neck and neck for this entire next section there. Perez on the outside, Sargent now on the left, and they're still going at it. It's actually turned into an incredible inter-team battle, and they're fighting so hard that they've lost all the time they had on me, and so soon enough we will close up to them. There we are in the background in P19, and actually after all of that, Perez is going to come into the pits as I think he was on the soft compounder tyres. So Sargent now is going to be defenceless, and we're going to close up to get that overtake for P17. It seems a bit futile right now, but because we are planning to go to the end, it's quite a long way to go, 13 laps, and we've already done a couple of good, a good few, 5 laps, I think, since we pit. So this is going to have to be a monster and miracle stint on these mediums. But in doing so, we will get a lot of positions quite rapidly. Right now, we're not fighting for much. We're fighting for P17, well and truly, with the Andretti there. But we've just got to remain patient because others are going to make a second pit stop in this race. Meanwhile, back at the front, the other BMW AAR car, Jenson Button P4. And look at this, the Ferraris fighting each other so much that now Button is within 1 second of Verstappen, who's very slow off that chicane. He really went over the curb, and so it's going to be an easy catapult overtake for Button. He's up into 3rd place now. Verstappen not looking too great on those medium tyres. Oh, Russell slow! Oh my God! Oh, Ferrari! Oh, it's Ferrari disaster class once again. 2-3, and now one of them is out of the race, and the other one, who's still in the race, is going to make a second pit stop. Unbelievable. The Ferrari disaster class knows no bounds in this series and on this game. Russell's out. And even though Verstappen's P3 right now, there you go, lap 18, he's made that stop off the medium tyres, and we've benefited because that pit stop from Verstappen has put us back into the top 10 then, as we watch two Frenchmen go toe-to-toe, Lamborghini versus Mercedes, Gasly versus Esteban Ocon. It's quite a nice little trio of Frenchmen here, P3, P4, and P5 in one straight. Porsche just lagging a little bit behind as Ocon tries to go for the repass on the outside of the Mercedes. to be honest, is having a cracking race here. You know, Merck has been a solid midfield team for so long, so Ocon is going to be really proud of himself so far to be there fighting for a top 4 spot as we try to overtake Mick Schumacher, and not try, we do overtake Schumacher around the outside. Was a little bit hairy there on the exit as we went wheel to wheel, but now we've got a bit of clean air to chase after. Liam Lawson ahead in the Red Bull Ford, and maybe even the 2 McLarens could be within our overtaking window. Any higher? I don't think so, because look at that massive gap then to the 2 Lambos behind Ocon, who, sorry, not even a top 4. Ocon's in a podium spot right now for Mercedes. And meanwhile, though, on the other side of the garage, Jenson Button is now 2 seconds behind Leclerc, and obviously everyone's going to the end. So this is all about protecting the tyres, being smooth with the tyres, and trying to go the distance. And that's something Button is very good at. He's a very smooth driver. So, let's see. Well, we're obviously focusing on our own race right now. We've overtaken Lawson with ease with DRS. We're now within 1 second of Piastri. DRS pops open. The Australian doesn't give us the room on the left, so we go to the right as we try to finish off the move. Piastri actually dive bombs us, so we're going to have to play the patient game here. We nearly make a bit of contact with the Season 3 World Champion. Seems like absolutely ages since Piastri won that championship, and instead now he's fighting for the lower points paying positions as we do split the 2 McLarens now, and Piastri immediately is under pressure there, and he's actually leading a train of Lawson. Verstappen is in there now, and not too far off them is Tsunoda in the background, P12, also having made a second stop obviously like Verstappen. So Tsunoda and Verstappen looking to cut their way through with fresher tyres. Even if we do overtake Albon, I'm now actually a bit worried. You know, Verstappen's actually quite close to us. Tsunoda not too far off either. Verstappen could well be a problem for us by the end of the race, as well as Yuki Tsunoda, as Tsunoda gets up into P11, and Verstappen is making quick work of Piastri. It's 3 wide, Ferrari v McLaren v Red Bull, and Verstappen gets the double move. He's up into P8, and annoyingly, he's now got clean air to chase after us, and Tsunoda is finding a bit of a challenge to get past Schumacher, I must say, but eventually he will get into clean air, I imagine, and that might be a problem for us as well. You know, 2 very good overtakers coming at us with fresher tyres in clean air. That's a problem as we now focus on the fight between 2 Frenchmen. This time it's Ocon and Pourchaire, and Pourchaire, ooh, he tried to go and keep it around the outside, but Ocon squeezes him out, but Gasly's pulled away. So Gasly's done very well there. Pierre Gasly's overtaken Ocon and has actually broken DRS, so Gasly might be on for a comfortable P3 now, unless something goes wrong. And meanwhile, for the race lead here, what do we have here? What did I say? Going so long on these hard tyres, it's all about being smooth and keeping the tyre wear in check. And that's exactly what Jenson Button has done in this car as he overtakes Leclerc for P1. He was as low as P8 at one point in this race, but Button has come alive in this Grand Prix. And it's a perfect scenario for him. Just, you know, it's all about tyre wear to the end. And he's just been cool, calculated, and as smooth as ever. And has made that look really quite easy on Leclerc. As meanwhile, in my world, though, I've got a world of pain coming my way because we've got a very quick Verstappen now attacking me in a Ferrari on fresher, hard tyres. He hops the curb. We're looking to try and get that switch back and get the DRS, that second zone, the detection point in the middle of the chicane. So it's actually better to be behind actually there as we re-overtake Verstappen for P7 on lap 22. But for how long can we keep this up? Well, apparently 4 laps at least to lap 26. 3 laps to go in this Grand Prix. We're still P7. Looks like the dream of P6 has completely gone out the window because Albon's 7.8 seconds ahead of us. So it's now all about, can we keep the P7? It's almost going to be mission impossible, I think, because just look at the difference in traction there, and just also understeer into that hairpin. It's 3 wide. Tsunoda's on my right. Verstappen's on the left. This can't end well because we just don't have the tyre to fight these guys for this long. We're doing really well right now. We're playing a massive game of constantly trying to get this DRS or just get enough overspeed off that chicane to power through with ERS, but Tsunoda now is up in P8. Verstappen is down to P9, although Tsunoda's a bit wide there. Lock up from the Japanese driver. Verstappen comes back through for P8. So the Ferrari once again will get first pick of attacking me, but through the next right-hander. Oh, God, no. Okay, the rear's locked. We've lost the back end. Verstappen round the outside. We're desperately clawing at the grip, trying to remain ahead, but we just can't do it. I think that might be the nail in the coffin with Verstappen, because all I had was keeping him behind through Sector 3. Sector 3, they're much quicker than me. So that crucial little mistake in the rear end locking has put the nail in the coffin for us, keeping P7. Now it's about, can we keep P8 versus our nearest championship rival, Yuki Tsunoda. Meanwhile, our teammate, Jenson Button, loving life, doing such a great job. He's 3.2 seconds now ahead of Leclerc. So he's not only gained 2 seconds on Leclerc, he's then gapped him by 3+ seconds there, just showing how good of a job he has done today on the tyre wear. Whereas I can't say the same thing, although to be fair, cut me some slack. I'm on the medium tyres, not the hards. I would have loved to have been on the hard tyres, but we only had 1 set left as we now try to re-overtake Tsunoda. We've almost had to make sure we're patient and kind of accept, okay, we're going to be behind here, but now we have that second bite, the cherry. DRS opens now for us to re-overtake the Japanese driver, I hope. He stays to the inside, but will power pass, hopefully get to the apex first. No, Tsunoda keeps his foot in. This is going to be oh so close, and this is the last lap of the Grand Prix, remember. Jenson Button has won the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, but we are still fighting Tsunoda hammer and tong. This is incredible stuff. A biblical battle right to the end, and it's absolute pain because right at the death, Tsunoda gets me. I just couldn't do anything. The tyre wear was too much, but JB's won it.
They've done it then. A spectacular victory here in Abu Dhabi and a massive confidence boost for the entire team, I'm sure. And talk to me. What do you think it was that sealed the win for them?
Well, this was won through an abundance of speed and skillful overtakes. Inside, outside, cutting underneath. We saw it all today. And it's really nice to see a Grand Prix won in that manner. A race to satisfy the purists today, I think.
Well, I'm thoroughly exhausted after the excitement of that race, but I'm sure it's nothing compared to our drivers here. They've worked hard to make it up there, and it's great to see them make their way onto the podium now.
So his return to Formula 1 bears fruit. He has won the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, and you've got to admit, it was an incredible race for Jenson. Great tyre wear and did really well, because Leclerc, to be honest, was dominating for most of that race. He's done very well. For us, it could have been a big what if. What can you do? But guys, if you have enjoyed what was a thrilling race all the way to the end, then be sure to hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.